What is up, my friends and fellow collectors out there? So, you're interested in starting a YouTube channel to do statue, figure reviews, or maybe other product reviews, or maybe you just want to share your collection with other members in the community and you don't know what equipment to get started with. That's what we're going to cover today. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. If this is your first time on the channel, we do a lot of talk of collecting on this channel. We go on toy hunts, we do statue and figure reviews, and we do a lot of geeky stuff like that. So if you're into that kind of stuff, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you can stay up to date on all of the content. But today I want to talk about something completely off topic, completely unrelated to collecting, other than, obviously shooting your collectible. But over the years, Seth and I have grown this channel to what it is, and we're both very proud of how it's grown and how it's become. Now, through those years, one thing that I've always gotten in the chats is how people compliment me about the video quality, the audio quality, the way everything looks, and they're always very impressed with all that. And I really appreciate the compliments. It means a lot to me because I put a lot of work into it. So another question that I get is from people who are starting out their YouTube videos, or they're making like Facebook live videos and that kind of stuff. And they want to know, what kind of camera am I using, or what kind of lighting, what kind of audio equipment am I using? What do I use for editing? All these are questions that come up. And I wanted to get and talk about that and show you guys the different things that I've used over the years and what you can do to make your videos look a little bit better. Now, I'm not gonna go into a full depth detail for each individual piece of equipment that I'm using. I'm just gonna let you guys know a general overview of what I do use, and I'll leave links to those products in the description below. Now, full disclosure, those links, some of them will be affiliate links, and I'll separate them into what affiliate links are and then what aren't the affiliate links. And you guys can choose to use them if you'd like. They do help the channel, and I do appreciate it if you do use the links. It's because it does help support the channel and keep these videos going. So if you choose to use them, I just want to say in advance, thank you very much. So with all that out of the way, let's get on topic. All right, so the first and most important thing that you need if you're going to do a statue review or a figure review is you're going to need a camera, and you're going to need you. Now, when I say you, I'm just saying that you got to be you. You got to get on the camera and have fun. I have fun doing these videos. That's why I do them. It's not because I want to get major amount of views. I mean, obviously I do want to get a lot of views, but if that happens, it happens. But you should just be on camera having a good time. The more fun you have doing the video, the more that will reflect on people, and you'll get more people subscribing to your channel. So don't think that any equipment that I suggest here today is going to get you 1 million views, because it won't. It's mostly about you being you. So definitely, be you. All right, so moving on, camera, right? So I have a very expensive camera now. I wouldn't say very, but pretty expensive camera at the moment. But when I started out, I used nothing but an iPhone. That's what I did. So initially I had an iPhone 7, 7 Plus, I think at the time. I upgraded to the 10. Now I have the 11 Pro Max. So these days, these iPhones and other mobile devices, they have excellent cameras on there. You can get really, really good video quality, especially if you put the right lighting to go along with it. You can get some extreme quality with these cameras. But out of the gate, the iPhone is not just something you can take and shoot with. All right, the iPhone has some very good video quality, but it does need a little help. The first thing that I got is an app called Movie Pro. So why I got Movie Pro is because it gives you a little bit more control over your video quality. You can take and lower down the ISOs to reduce noise in the video, because often what happens with an iPhone is the iPhone will take and it will try to adjust the ISO to create a better lighting situation when you're in dark rooms. And generally when you shoot a review, you should have like a dark room and then add in lighting so that you can better control the way your video looks. So your iPhone is going to try to automatically adjust that if you just use the video app that comes with it. If you use the Movie Pro app, you can take and adjust the ISO quality. You can adjust the audio quality of the mic coming into the device. You have a lot of control over the color and that kind of stuff, and you get some really nice shots. I remember at the beginning when I used to come to, like when I went to my first convention, that was the best one. I come to the convention with my iPhone and my DJI mobile gimbal. And I remember the guys looking at me like cross-eyed, like why wasn't I there with more expensive equipment? But this is what I had, and I shot very good footage with the iPhone. Now, If you choose to go with, my current one now is an iPhone 12, I think, or maybe like a regular iPhone 11, if they still have that available. I'm not certain because I don't use these as much anymore. They have the single camera system or the dual camera system. Now, if you get that setup, another thing that I suggest that you pick up is these lenses from Moment. Moment makes a couple of lenses that are pretty good. And then they adapt the lens on your camera to give you a wide angle view. I got a wide angle lens and I got a 55mm lens for more static and close-up shots that I wanted to get. But the wide angle view is the one that helped me the most. Is because when you position the iPhone at a certain distance, at least in my small room, you know, you can't get far enough away sometimes, especially if the statue is very big or the item that you're looking at is very big. So you want to have something that'll, you know, widen out your scope and you can see more of the background behind you, and it gives you just a little bit wider view. It helps. So those are two lenses that work. Now, if you choose to go with the Pro Max, which comes with the triple lens on here, you don't need to get any lenses to go with it. The wide angle lens that comes with this phone right here is better than the Moment lenses that I have. It's much wider. You have a close-up lens with this. So it makes for some very nice shots that you want to get. One thing you can't get with the iPhone is depth of field. You won't be able to get the blurry background and the more focused foreground with this unless you have the phone like right on your subject. So this is not something that, if you want to get that kind of look, that you're going to be able to get out of an iPhone. It's got its limitations. But for the general idea of shooting a video, this works just fine. And most people have an iPhone or a Samsung device, you know, in their pocket, so it makes it a lot easier to use. Now, I've used this up until like the middle of 2020, right? So just recently I upgraded to a Panasonic GH5, and this camera here does a lot more obviously than I can get with this phone. I coupled it with a couple different lenses, and I can go into more detail with the types of lenses that I've used with the GH5. But you're talking about a camera now that's going to run you over $2,000, you know, if you want to get into that. And like I said, you know, over the years I've saved up, and you know, I built up to that idea of getting a camera. Has that improved my video views? No, not really. It's just for my purposes. When I see the video, I say, hey, that looks really nice and I like it. So that's why I go with that. Okay, other than those two as my main cameras, the other things that I use is a DJI Osmo Pocket. Now this camera here I use for going on outside shoots. It's very versatile for that, good for toy hunts, good for going to a convention, you know, and shooting at a con. It's very small, which I like about it. The battery life is pretty decent. It does 4K video, has zoom on the new one. So this is a really nice camera option if you're gonna go to conventions and you're gonna go traveling around. Really good. Downsides to this camera is that it's not very good in low light. So if you're gonna use this camera, make sure you have some good lighting if you choose to use this. All right, and then also, in addition to that, if you don't wanna buy the Osmo Pocket, a little cheaper solution, since you already got the phone, is a Osmo Mobile. All right, so this grips onto the phone right there, and then it creates a gimbal system so that you can shoot, and gives you a nice smooth video as you shoot, which that works really, really well. Also, you know, you're gonna need some kind of way of stabilizing your phone if you choose to use it as your main camera source, if you're not gonna use something like, you know, a Panasonic GH5. So you're gonna need some kind of tripod to put it on, and then they have an adapter that looks like this. I'm gonna pull this out over here. You have an adapter that looks something like this. There's different ones that you can get. I'll leave one in the description. And you can basically just plug your phone into there like that. You mount it onto your tripod, and then you can shoot your video the way you want to shoot it. It gives you a nice stable footage. Stable footage is really important when you're shooting, if you're gonna be in camera. Also, even if you're gonna be behind camera. Now, if you decide that you're gonna be one of the guys that just likes to stay off camera, you don't wanna come on, you know, you can be behind it. The iPhone has a nice stabilizer in it, but I would definitely recommend using the Osmo Mobile to keep it steady, okay? So that's basically everything that I use as far as camera goes. Let's move on to lighting. All right, with regards to lighting, I recommend at least 2 lights. I used, when I started out, these umbrella lights. They ran about $40. It was actually kind of cheap that I found on Amazon. The upside to it was that it was inexpensive. They came pretty quickly, and I think they even came in a pack of 2, so that was great. Downside to it was there was no like dimming switch in there. Dimming switches work great. I think I like using that now better than I did when I didn't have that system. So, you know, that's what I'm currently using now. My current setup, I use a ring light, which is about a 15-inch wide ring light, I believe was that one. It has a dimmer on it so that I can dim down. I have another light that I use as my fill light, and that comes in on my opposite side. And that one there also has a dimmer. It has some color changing ability to it, so I can actually use that for photography. And then I have a rim light that comes down on me from behind, and then that one glows a blue color. That one here has some RGB settings. You can change the color as you want to, and that creates kind of like this effect here on the side and gives me a little bit more depth. So lighting is extremely important. Especially like when you want to take and use it with like a gimbal system, and you know, you can take and put a light source right there. Super important to get the video to look really good so you don't have any kind of noise again when you're trying to shoot, because the other way of fixing that is to try to adjust the ISO, which then introduces noise into the picture and then the clarity goes down. All right, in regards to audio, in my opinion, audio can be just as important, or if not more so, than the video quality. You can have a video that looks okay, you know, people are more accepting about a video being okay and not being as clear as some of the others. But if your audio is bad, the high chances that they're gonna take and watch your video is nil to none. They almost fall off completely, you know, especially if you get a lot of echoing in there. You know, people don't like that. I've heard that a lot. That's a big thing. I say lighting and audio are more important than the camera that you use. When it comes to audio, when I first started out, I used a wireless lapel mic, and now I'm back to the wireless lapel. The good thing about the wireless lapel is that it gives you the ability to move around your statue freely without the worry of being too far away from the mic, you know, and then that way the audio kind of stays consistent throughout the video source. The downside to it is it runs on batteries, and if you take too long to shoot the video, the batteries are gonna die on you. So that's a downside, and they can be very expensive. You know, the first wireless lapel system that I bought, which I'll leave down there, is ran me about $100. Ran on 4 AA batteries, 2 for each one of the mics, and for the transmitter and for the mic itself, and that worked out pretty well. At the beginning when I was shooting videos, though, I was really bad at it, so there was a lot of constant, you know, redos, and sometimes the batteries would die on me as I'm shooting a video, especially when I was doing like the collecting years at the beginning. It was really difficult. So that moved me into getting a different audio system, which is this one here. This is the Blue Yeti mic, and then I have a filter here, and then a pop filter in front of it to keep it from creating any kind of issues with the audio. The awesome thing about this is that it can sit on an arm. I like that you have a mute button in the front. I like that you have a gain on the back, and you have the options to change the source that it's coming from. This is a very inexpensive way for you to be able to get audio in your video that sounds really good. I think it sounds very decent and very acceptable to most people, and it works really good for live videos. So that's another piece of equipment that I keep. I also have a Rode mic that I'm using right now. This is also a wireless lapel. This is the Rode Mobile, I think is what it's called. But this device here is great. My friend Calvin put me onto it. The battery life is really good. I usually can get maybe like 3 or 4 videos out of it before I have to recharge it. It's rechargeable, so I don't have to keep running out to buy AA batteries, so I like that as well. And then it works with my Rode mic that I have attached to it, and it gets really nice clear audio. So that's really good. The only thing with this one is that the audio mic is a little on the loud side, so I have to turn it all the way down, you know, so to get nice clear audio. Otherwise, I end up getting a lot of noise in the video. It ends up getting too high, so I have to adjust that. Better to be on the low side than on the high side, I would say, when it comes to audio. So I have that as well. And then I also have one that adapts to the iPhone. So there's this mic here has an adapter that I bought, and the adapter plugs into the iPhone itself, and then you're able to get a microphone to the phone that allows you to adjust, and that also helps. All right, and if you're gonna do statue reviews or even figure reviews, it's a good idea to get yourself a turntable. These are called Lazy Susans. This one here is not a Lazy Susan, though. If you just search Lazy Susan on Amazon, what you're gonna get is the kind of stuff that you use for dining room setups, you know, where they put your food on it and all that. Those work. Those work for like 6-scale figures, light statues they work for. But when it comes to the heavier statues, if you're getting into like a Prime 1, or you're getting into something like an XM Studios, that you got something that's like 40 pounds or more, they don't work all that well. I had one at the beginning and I broke the wood on that one real quickly, so I ended up having to go to this. Now this is a TV turntable. That's how I searched it on Amazon. I'll leave a link again in the description. So this is really good. It's a manual turntable. Holds a lot of weight, you know, because it can hold up a TV. I think it holds about 60 pounds and you could spin it around without any issue. So this is a really good option. And this is right here, I think it's like a 15-inch size. You can get it in much bigger sizes, like 24 inches. So when you get into the bigger statues, you know, the base sits on it really nicely and they obviously can support more weight. So that's an option there. The other one that I use from time to time is an automatic turntable. This one here powers up with a cord, and then you have a switch, and then it spins your statue around. This is good for light statues. For, you know, when you get into heavier statues, I don't like it so much. Maybe you have to get a bigger one, but it's really good for light statues, anything 40 pounds and under, maybe even 50 pounds at the most. Spins it around really good, like if you're talking or if you want to take and do some B-roll with the camera hitting it and, you know, you're spinning the statue around, you can get some really nice B-roll with that. So that's mainly what I use this one for. And it works out great for when you have your statue here in front of you, you want it spinning while you're talking. So really awesome setup if you want to get one of these. These run like around $90 versus like $30, I think, for the manual one. And they can go up higher depending on the size that you get. The only downside to the automatic ones is when you get into the heavy statues. And you get into the heavier ones, sometimes they'll stick a little bit and you got to kind of help it along. So that's the turntables. Finally, let's get into some editing software. So the last thing that you're gonna need once you have your video all put together, your audio is all set, you're ready to go, is some editing software so that you could chop it all up and make it a little more enjoyable for your fans, right? So there's a ton of different software out there depending on what you wanna use. Some of it's free. Something like a Final Cut, if you're using a Mac, is available. I'm more partial to the Adobe products. I've been using the Adobe products since college, so that's what I've become accustomed to, and that's what I currently still use. You're absolutely gonna need Adobe Premiere if you decide to go with the Adobe products. You can't get around that one way or another. That's your editing software. It's your main video editing software that you're gonna need. In addition to that, I would suggest that you get Adobe Photoshop. Adobe Photoshop is great for making some adjustments to photographs if you want to, or you can take and make logos with that, PNG files, stuff to lay over in your video, so that's helpful. Also, Adobe Illustrator is another one that I like to use a lot. That's great for creating logos if you're a little bit more artistic. That's something that you can use if your design skills are up there. That's a really great software that I use as well. And the last one is After Effects. Now, After Effects is not something that you absolutely need. It's great for creating video intros, for creating special effects to throw into your videos if you want to get a little bit more creative with your reviews. You can do things like that, like lightning bolts and flashes, lightsaber ignitions, things like that. They're really good for that kind of thing. So After Effects is something that I use as well. Those are the four main that I use. Another piece of software that I think is really good with the Adobe products is the Audition. So Audition comes into play whenever you get some footage that just goes bad on you. And you can try to create, especially if the audio goes bad on you. That's happened to me quite a few times. You know, I'll go to a convention and I test my equipment, everything is great, everything is awesome. Then I go shoot my video and then I get back and I find out that something happened, noise happened, whatever. You get maybe a lot of static at one point, or there's some other audio like echoing or something like that that you just couldn't foresee happening. So Audition allows you to adjust your audio and sometimes correct those issues. So it's a really nice piece of software to have. So your main two that I would say three that you would absolutely need is Adobe Premiere, Audition, and Photoshop. Those are your three that I would absolutely recommend picking up. After Effects and Illustrator are extras. If you can manage to get all five pretty cheaply, that's the five that I roll with. That's what I would use. All right, and that's basically it. That's a brief overview of everything that I use when I do my videos. Now, I can get into some more detail on specific items, like if you guys want to know the exact settings that I use on an iPhone for shooting my video, I can take and make a video about that to help you guys out if you're interested in that. If you guys like these type of videos, just let me know in the comments below what you guys are into. If you guys are into this type of stuff and you want to know more about it, I'll be more than happy to do a series of these showing you my different settings, what I use, like, you know, for the DJI Pocket, you know, when I roll around, what I use for settings for that, you know, what I use for settings on the GH5, how I adjust the audio, how I set up my lighting. you know, I can share with you guys specifics on those things. I just don't feel like that's something that I want to throw all into one main video. You know, maybe I could separate them into a series of different ones. So let me know in the comments below if you guys are interested in hearing about that kind of stuff. I'll get that rolled for you guys if I get enough interest. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with me for this particular video. I hope you guys got a lot of information out of this. Until next time, guys, keep it marvelous.